Well, it depends on who you're talking about. I mean, it's hard to make a blanket statement there because we have guys that are 3 practices in, and we have guys that are 2 years in. Some guys that are 3 years in. So, hopefully those guys that are 2, 3 years in are being a leader, taking charge, and making plays. And so, again, but it's just 3 practices. So the level of expectation is different for everybody. I mean, obviously, everybody out there needs to come along.
One of those 2, 3-year guys is Paul Millard. Now that, he's not the guy, but there's not the guy ahead of him. Have you seen a difference in demeanor or approach, anything like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think both of those guys their approach is different. Both of them are battling for the job, and so they're getting 50-50 reps right now, and so there's no clear-cut quarterback. And that's true with a lot of positions, though. It's not just a quarterback position. We have a lot of competition, so it's good.
Dana said it reminds him of first day on the job. How many new players and coaches there are out there. Is that fun or frustrating? What was it like?
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's just it is what it is. It's nothing you can do about it. But to me, it's fun because I like, it rejuvenates you, especially with new kids, and their excitement. With our, finishing up our off-season workout or whatever you want to call it, our morale is extremely high right now. Mm-hmm. And so kids are having a good time. Kids like being around the coaches here. Kids are, going out to practice with a smile on their face. They're hopping around. Everything's fun. Everything's exciting. It just so happened today was the first day in pads, so there's probably going to be a little lull. Ultimately there'll be a little lull. So.
You mentioned leaders before. Do you have leaders? Do you see guys who are stepping up, and can you evaluate that at this point?
In my opinion, Bowie's a leader. He's been here. He's the leading production guy we had last year. In the off season, you watch him. He works hard. He does everything right. I think leadership is going to have to unfold as the spring unfolds, to be honest with you, because, guys like Dreamus and guys like Kevin, they're just got here, but we're putting them in a leadership role, and they need to take charge. So we'll see. After 3 days, it's hard to sit here and tell you who the leaders are, but hopefully we'll have some people step up.
Kind of like the first day where everyone's kind of in the red zone and everything. How do you think the quarterbacks did, and what were your thoughts on the offense as a whole?
In the red zone? Down there in the end zone?
Yeah, down there. Yeah, in the end zone.
What are you talking about, the quarterback drills?
Yeah.
How do I think they're doing?
Yeah, how do you think all that went?
Well, I think they're doing good.
Yeah.
They're not. Nobody's doing spectacular right now. So it's just good. It's good and bad, but they're not the only people out there either. It takes offenses about having 11 people do their job together. So we need a guy that's going to lead. And obviously, after 3 practices, we're not ready to name a starter yet. But they're doing good. They're not. There's nothing negative about them.
How much scrimmage type stuff do you do at this point, throughout the practice?
It hadn't been any. Today was the same as day 1 and day 2, plus the fact that we had pads on. We'll get into doing more situational stuff here probably the next practice, but today was not it wasn't anything different than the first 2 days other than we had pads on. We did a little competitive drill. It was obviously it was physical, a lot more physical.
You had pro day yesterday. There are a lot of dream chasers out there, and one of the guys who put up the best numbers across the board is Ryan Nealon. Not the kind of film that people can watch and know exactly what to expect from him. If you talk to a scout, a coach, what would you say about Ryan Nealon, positively or negatively, that could impact his future?
I wouldn't say anything negative about the kid. But I don't have anything negative to say about him. He, in my opinion, he needs to be on the roster at some point at the beginning of the year and give it an opportunity. Just based on my knowledge of being around him for the last 2 years, a kid that does everything right. He tests out the roof. You never know when people are going to just take it and run with it, And so just so happened that we had some guys that were playing a little better than him. Doesn't mean that the kid can't play. And if somebody gives him a chance, you never know.
How have those junior college players kind of responded to that responsibility and that leadership role you're trying to get?
Good. And, the level of competition increased, which makes everybody better at certain positions. You know what I mean? So it's always good to have good players come in, recruit the right type kid that can play, make plays, and so it makes everybody around them compete harder.
Haven't really talked about wide receiver yet, but that's probably one of the areas
Yeah.
where competition is breeding competition. Can you talk about that and what you've seen out of these guys?
It's competitive. It really is. I mean, it's hard. Like I said, I mean, after 3 practices, I mean, it's hard to sit here because some of those new guys that we've injected into the offense haven't had the opportunity to rep. I mean, they just finished the 3-day repetition deal we do, and so the set of plays they ran today was the first time they ever ran those plays. So I mean, the more they rep them, the more we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of processing going on with those new guys. You can tell guys like Jordan and Connor and guys that have been around here, they're lining up just playing. It's instinctive. They know it. You know, guys like DeKeel and Kevin and those guys they're processing. You know, they're at the line of scrimmage and you can see them going through. Their wheels are turning. When that's the case, it's hard to play instinctive. Your natural ability hadn't taken over yet because you're still processing stuff. I mean, and that's just the process. That's the process of bringing new guys in and giving them reps. So, you know, as that process goes, I mean, the more reps they get, the more instinctive it gets, the more athletic they'll get. You know, their natural ability will take over.
Another newcomer you've got in camp is Jawan Sider. I mean, just found out about the job on Friday, started on Sunday. What have you seen from him so far? I mean, what's it like, you know, to work with him, a guy who went to West Virginia, obviously has excitement to be back at his alma mater?
It's great to have him. It's great to have all those new coaches. I mean, all of them bring a different deal to the room. We're doing a couple different things offensively, things that those guys have done other places. And so just bringing in different ideas has been good. But they're, you know, first thing I look at is personality of guys. They fit in the room good, and they fit in the staff good. And so the kids enjoy being around them. They have good personalities. So, I mean, it's a good fit.